just sends a whole fan base, into a total meltdown.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So I was reading this article from the Express Tribune, and it's about a football match, and the aftermath is just wild.
Interesting. What happened?
Okay, so picture this. It's the final Merseyside derby.
Okay.
At Goodison Park.
All right.
Which is what they call the match between Liverpool and their, local rivals, Everton.
Right, yeah.
And it's always a heated affair, but this time the stakes were even higher because Liverpool were looking to extend their lead at the top of the Premier League table.
So high-pressure situation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I can see where this is going.
Yeah.
A close match, high tensions, and then somebody on social media just throws fuel on the fire.
Exactly. So the match ends in a 2-2 draw.
Okay.
It was a back-and-forth battle, but Everton scored in the last minute, sparking these huge celebrations from the home fans. And to add to the drama, there were red cards. Even the Liverpool manager and assistant coach got dismissed.
Wow.
It was pure chaos.
Wow. So what was the tweet that sent everyone over the edge?
So it came from Piers Morgan,
Okay.
the broadcaster. He's a diehard Arsenal fan.
Right.
And their team is chasing Liverpool for the title.
Right.
Right after this crazy match, he posts a photo of the referee, Michael Oliver, with the caption, "My hero."
Oh, boy. I can only imagine how Liverpool fans took that talk about poking the bear.
It was like he lit a match in a powder keg.
Yeah.
The article is full of examples of Liverpool fans just like on social media accusing the referee of bias, corruption, even suggesting that he deliberately favored Everton to help Arsenal.
That's really interesting how like a single tweet can tap into these existing anxieties. Like obviously Liverpool are in a really tight title race.
Right.
And the fans are already on edge. And then you have someone like Piers Morgan who has a history of being provocative.
Yes.
Coming in with a comment that just seems to confirm their worst fears.
It's like he just validated all their suspicions about referees being biased against their team, even though realistically, referees are just trying to do their job in a high-pressure environment.
Right. And it's easy to forget that referees are human, too.
Right.
They make mistakes, and those mistakes are just magnified in a sport like football where the margins are so thin.
Yeah, the article highlights a few fan comments that really illustrate this. Like one fan wrote, "For him to actually be your hero, he would have had to give a penalty to Everton when the crowd complained of a handball by Konate."
So clearly implying that Oliver was intentionally making calls to benefit Everton and, by extension, Arsenal.
Right.
It's interesting how quickly people jump to those conclusions, especially when it confirms their existing biases.
Exactly. Another fan commented, "Corruption to keep Arsenal in the title race."
Wow.
Now, whether they genuinely believe that or they're just venting, it shows the level of distrust some fans have towards officials.
It seems like what's happening here is something called confirmation bias. People tend to seek out information in a way that confirms their pre-existing beliefs.
Right.
So if you already believe that referees are biased against your team, a tweet like Piers Morgan's is just going to reinforce that belief, even if there's no real evidence.
That's a really good point. It's like they're seeing what they want to see and ignoring anything that contradicts their view.
Yeah.
Another comment that stood out was he's always MOTM whenever he's officiating, meaning man of the match.
Oh, right.
So they're sarcastically implying that Oliver consistently influences the game to benefit certain teams.
Yeah, it's a clever way to express frustration, but it also contributes to a dangerous narrative that undermines the integrity of the game.
Yeah.
It fuels this idea that the referees have an agenda, which, let's be honest, is incredibly unlikely.
And what's also interesting is how Piers Morgan's persona plays into this. He's known for being outspoken and controversial. He seems to enjoy stirring the pot and getting a reaction out of people.
Absolutely. He's a master at using social media to amplify his voice and provoke a reaction. And in this case, he's successfully tapped into the raw emotions of a fan base that's already on edge.
He's almost like a lightning rod for controversy.
Right.
And whether he intended to or not, he's created a situation where a simple tweet about a football match has become a much larger conversation about fan behavior, social media, and the influence of celebrity voices.
Right.
Yeah.
It's fascinating.
It is.
Yeah. He's like, he threw a grenade into the room and just sat back to watch it explode.
Yeah, and the fact that this happened with Arsenal trailing Liverpool by 7 points just adds another layer of intrigue to this whole thing, right? Morgan's tweet, even if it was meant as a joke, takes on a whole new meaning in the context of this tight title race.
Exactly. Every point matters at this stage of the season.
Right.
And a draw for Liverpool is a small victory for Arsenal, by highlighting the controversial aspects of the match.
Right.
Morgan is subtly trying to shift that narrative in Arsenal's favor.
It's like he's playing mind games with the entire Liverpool fan base.
Hmm.
But here's the thing, not every Liverpool fan fell for it.
Oh.
The article mentions that some fans saw right through his antics.
Okay.
And even found the whole thing kind of amusing.
That's an important point to remember. Like, fan bases are not monolithic.
Yeah.
There's always going to be a range of perspectives and reactions.
Yeah.
Some fans are more prone to conspiracy theories, while others are more level-headed and able to see things for what they are.
It's a good reminder that you can't paint everyone with the same brush.
Right.
And, this whole incident really highlights the complex relationship between sports fandom and social media, doesn't it?
It does. On one hand, social media can be a fantastic tool for fans to connect, share their passion, and engage in discussions, but it can also become an echo chamber where these extreme views are amplified and nuances are lost.
It's like a double-edged sword. It gives everyone a voice, which is great.
Yeah.
But it also means that, misinformation and negativity can spread like wildfire.
And when you factor in the influence of celebrities like Piers Morgan, who have these massive platforms and these dedicated followers,
Right.
the potential for harm increases exponentially. Their words carry weight, and they can really shape public opinion in a way that ordinary fans just can't.
This brings up a really interesting question for you listening. How much influence do you think celebrity fans have on the perception of a sport? Are they just passionate supporters expressing their opinions, or do they hold a greater responsibility because of their fame and reach?
And is it fair for their comments to be scrutinized more heavily than those of an average fan?
Those are definitely questions worth considering. It's easy to get caught up in the heat of the moment, especially when your team's success is on the line. But it's also important to take a step back and think critically about what we're reading and sharing online.
Absolutely. We need to be more mindful of the power of our words, especially on social media.
Yeah.
What might seem like a harmless comment can have this ripple effect and contribute to a culture of negativity and hostility.
It's a good reminder to be more discerning about what we consume and share online.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about Piers Morgan and the social media reaction, but let's go back to the match itself for a moment.
Okay.
The article mentions that Liverpool missed a golden opportunity to increase their lead at the top of the table.
Right.
A draw against Everton, especially at this stage of the season, could prove to be a costly slip-up in the title race.
And remember, this was the final Merseyside derby at Goodison Park.
Right.
So there was an extra layer of historical significance and emotion surrounding the match.
Absolutely.
The atmosphere must have been electric.
Yeah, the article does a great job of capturing the drama of James Tarkowski's last-minute goal for Everton, which tied the game and sent the home fans into a frenzy.
It's a perfect illustration of how quickly fortunes can change in football. 1 minute, Liverpool is on the verge of victory, and the next, they're fighting to salvage a draw.
Yeah, and to add to the chaos, there were the red cards given to Abdoulaye Doucouré and Curtis Jones after a heated exchange. Although the article doesn't provide specifics, you can tell that tensions were running high.
It's not unusual to see tempers flare in a match as intense as the Merseyside derby.
Right.
The pressure to perform, the rivalry between the clubs, the roar of the crowd, it can all create a combustible environment.
And then, of course, you had the referee, Michael Oliver, dismissing both the Liverpool manager, Arne Slot, and his assistant coach, Sipke Hulshoff, which just added to the sense that things were completely unraveling.
Oliver's decision to send off both the manager and assistant coach suggests there was significant dissent from the Liverpool bench, likely fueled by frustration with some of his calls during the match.
It's amazing how a single tweet from a celebrity fan can illuminate the many layers of a football match, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not just about the final score, it's about the emotions, the rivalries, the personalities, and the narratives that surround the game.
It really is. This incident showcases the intricate tapestry of football, how events on the pitch intertwine with the reactions of fans and the influence of media personalities all playing out on this global stage.
Yeah. It all started with just that one little tweet. It makes you think about the responsibility we all have when we're sharing our opinions online.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to something as emotionally charged as, like sports.
I think this whole incident serves as a cautionary tale about the power of social media.
Right.
To both unite and divide us. It can be a platform for healthy debate and shared experiences.
Yeah.
But it can also very quickly devolve into this breeding ground for negativity, misinformation, and even abuse.
It's a reminder that, there's a real person on the other side of that screen. And words, even, those typed quickly on a phone, can have a real impact.
Absolutely. And I think it's particularly important to be mindful of this when we're dealing with topics like, refereeing decisions,
Right.
which are often subjective and open to interpretation.
Yeah, it's so easy to get caught up in the moment
Yeah.
and make snap judgments, especially when you feel like, your team has been wronged. But we need to remember that referees are human beings doing their best in a high-pressure situation.
And they're making those decisions in real time, often based on split-second observations.
Right.
It's not like they have the benefit of instant replay in slow motion
Right.
to dissect every single play.
It's a tough job, and they're not always going to get it right.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean they're, corrupt or deliberately trying to sabotage a team.
And, it's also worth remembering that every fan base thinks that the referees are biased against them.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
It's a universal experience in sports.
Yeah.
We all tend to view things through the lens of our own team's,
Yeah.
Successes and failures.
That's so true. And that's why it's important to, take a step back and try to see things from a more objective perspective.
It's not always easy to do, especially in the heat of the moment. But if we can all make a conscious effort to be more thoughtful and less reactive, it can go a long way towards creating a more positive and respectful online environment.
So what can we do to be more responsible fans in the digital age? Okay.
It feels like things are getting more and more heated online.
Well, I think the first step is to be aware of our own biases.
Okay.
We all have them, and they can influence the way we interpret information if we can acknowledge that it can help us to be more open-minded and less quick to judge.
That's good advice. And maybe we should all try to be more critical of the information we're consuming online.
Right.
Not everything we read is true, and it's easy to get swept up in, a wave of outrage or conspiracy theory.
I think that's crucial.
Yeah.
We need to develop our media literacy skills and learn how to distinguish between credible sources and those that are just trying to spread, sensationalized or biased information.
And maybe, just maybe, we can all try to be a little bit kinder to each other online.
I agree. It's easy to forget that there are real people on the other side of our screens. Let's try to treat each other with the same respect we would expect in a face-to-face interaction.
This deep dive into a single tweet about a football match has taken us on quite a journey.
It really has.
Yeah. It's been a fascinating exploration of the complexities of fandom, the power of social media, and the importance of critical thinking in the digital age.
And on that note, we'll leave you to ponder these ideas further. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.